Today we're going to be taking on the Cult of the Death Knight right after this. Hey everyone, Sam here from the Tabletop Hub, your one-stop shop for all things tabletop, and we are back playing more Escape the Dark Castle. Today we are going to be trying to escape the Cult of the Death Knight, which is the first adventure pack expansion for Escape from the Dark Castle. We're going to be playing it again solo and trying to escape. If you haven't checked out the last, or the first kind of playthrough video we did of Escape the Dark Castle, where I failed magnificently in the boss level, there's going to be an annotation up at the top right of your screen where you can go and check that out. Today we're going to be changing some things up a little bit. The first adventure pack for Escape Dark Castle introduces some new mechanics to the game which are really, really cool, some new characters as well, but we're also going to be playing a half game, basically splitting the deck in half, splitting our health in half, just to make the game a little bit shorter as well, which is something you can absolutely do if you're playing this at home and maybe don't have the time to play a full game. I mean, gameplay takes about 30 minutes if you're lucky and get through to the final room. It can last a lot shorter than that, of course. But today we are playing through with, I'll just show you the characters that we're playing as today. The Abbot and the Miller, who are from the core set of the game. You do need the core set to play through the first adventure pack as well, I should mention. But we're actually also going to be playing with the Mason, who is one of the characters that you get in the Cult of the Death Knight as well. You can see his stats as well, wildly different from the ones that you would get in the core set. So he has actually 6 chances for might, 1 of wisdom and 1 of cunning. And then I've supplemented that with our other 2 characters as well. Now, as for the castle cards that we're going to be playing with, we've only got 7. They are all from the adventure pack, mainly because I wanted to showcase to all of you what the adventure pack is like and the different scenarios that you can come across. As well as that, one thing that the Cult of the Death Knight actually introduces are curses. And these are inside your item card deck. And basically, if you draw them, they will assign a specific curse to a certain character, and in some cases can be very, very detrimental to the lifespan of your group as well. So now that we've got the game set up, let's dive in and see if we can defeat the Death Knight himself. So because we're only playing a half game, like I said, because we've cut the castle deck in half, we're equally going to be cutting our health in half as well. So all of our characters are going to be starting with 7 health. So let's see how long they can last. Let's turn over to begin, as we always do. After years of incarceration in the depths of the Dark Castle, you finally break free of your cell. In a small stone room adjoining the cell block stands an old wooden chest. The lock is open. We draw an item card per player. We hear footsteps approaching. We must not linger here. You make for the exit, slipping away and disappearing into the darkness. And we turn the first chapter card. So let's draw an item per player. We've got a partially rotten apple, liquid luck, and another partially rotten apple. So let's divvy these out actually. Liquid luck just re-rolls a character dice. I think we'll give that to the Mason. We'll give the partially rotten apple to the Miller and the Abbot. Now, going through the first door, at this stage probably doesn't really matter, but we'll go for the Mason. He'll go through the door first. So, the passageway ends at an ancient stone door. It is sealed by a magical inscription: in harmony, reward, danger, in discord. A chant must be performed to open this door. All players must end up with the same trait on their character dice after a maximum of 3 rolls each, which can be taken in any order the players choose. If we succeed, the chanting is harmonious. The door opens to reveal a hidden cache. Each player gains 1 health point, or we can draw an item card. If we fail, basically we all lose 1 health point. Now, the way that I'm going to do this, each character gets 3 rolls. I'm going to roll everybody's dice at the start once, see what is the most common one, and then try and divvy it out like that. Hopefully we don't all get different things. Okay, so the Abbot got might, the Mason got might, but the Miller got cunning. So we're going to hopefully go for might for everyone. The Miller has a good chance of getting that, so let's see how we do. And we got it. Perfect. We're going to draw an item card for everybody because they've got full health, kind of. So we've got liquid luck, partially rotten apple, and a steel loaf of bread. So we're going to give the mason a steel loaf of bread, which we can discard to get 2 health points. We will give liquid luck to the abbot, and we'll give another apple to the miller. Brilliant. And the mason's going to go through the door again. Just because he's new around here, we'll make him earn his keep. So, you follow a dark, winding passageway to where it opens into a vast cave-like chamber. A chapel has been carved into the rock and a twinkle of light catches your eye. Stepping cautiously inside, you find an ornate altar upon which a large silver dish is laid. An offering has been placed inside it. We draw an item card. Not a bad start, although the last game we played started out really nicely and then went very swiftly downhill, so we'll see how it goes. We got a brew of might. We can discard to apply a single might at any time. I'm actually going to get the abbot to discard his liquid luck and take that, just because. And the mason will once again go through the door first. Here we go. Right. A large shambling beast is feeling its way along this bloodstained passage, evidently blind. As you draw near, it pauses, tilting its head to listen. It sniffs the air suspiciously, not yet aware of your presence. Now, there is a chance to slip away quietly. In unison, all players must roll their character dice and no might be rolled. Which sucks for the mason, but we'll see. If we succeed, we can escape undetected. And if I fail, the beast detects us and we have to fight. So we don't lose any health, so we might as well try this. So we need to roll and not get any might. Okay. No, no! Dice is gone. Now, after retrieving the dice, the abbot and the miller both rolled wisdom. The mason, however, did roll might, but he does have liquid luck. So he can discard this to re-roll his character dice, and we have to apply the second result. So I'm going to hedge my bets on this and hope that his second roll doesn't include a might. Which it did. And now we have to fight anyway. So, for the beast, he has 1 might, 1 cunning, or 1 wisdom, and then we roll 3 dice for the characters. By the way, folks, if you're new to Escape the Dark Castle and you don't really know how to play, watching my playthrough of the core set of the game will be a lot more explanatory. This is kind of we're tearing through this with the assumption that you already know how to play, but the beast has, if you can see here, 2 wisdom, 1 cunning, 2 might, which I think we should be able to handle. So we're going to get everybody to fight at once. So the miller rolled 2 cunning, they're blocked. The mason rolled a wisdom. The abbot rolled a might, and he's also going to use his brew of might to get another might as well. So the mason and the abbot will both take 2 damage. So that puts them down to 5. I think we'll get the mason to rest. No, actually, we'll get the mason to rest, which will put him back up to 6. We'll get the other 2 characters to roll for a wisdom, which they get. Brilliant. And then we get an item card for defeating the beast, which is Effervescent Evasion. So whenever I would lose health points, I discard this item to lose none. And the abbot will use that. So at the end of that, we have the miller still at 7 points, full health, mason at 6, and the abbot at 5. You know what? I think we'll keep things as they are. So Miller's going to go through the room into the next room first. Oh my. With a scream, an armoured figure hurtles towards you. You recognise his voice immediately. The captain of the guards himself has found us. We immediately begin combat. And the combat special here is whenever you would remove a chapter dice by hitting this enemy, we roll it instead. If the result is cunning, we don't remove it, we put it back, cunning side up. And he's going to do 2 damage per turn that he is still alive. So he gets 1 cunning, 1 wisdom, and then we roll 3 dice, which gives us 2 might and another wisdom. So in total, we're looking for 2 might, 2 wisdom, 1 cunning. I think we're all going to fight for this one. Oh, that is really good. The abbot rolls 2 wisdom and blocks. The miller rolls 2 might and blocks, and the mason rolls 1 might. So he's the only one that takes damage. Oh, actually, sorry. Not so fast, Sam. I just remembered the combat special. So we need to roll all of those dice again and hope that none of them get cunning. Which 2 of them do. Okay. Almost stuck myself there with that one. So the mason is still the only one that's going to take damage. So he's now down to 4. He is going to rest this turn because he actually has a very slim chance of rolling cunning, and we will get the other 2 to try and hopefully do some damage. So the miller rolls a shield and 2 might. The abbot rolls a wisdom, none of which are useful. He is, however, going to use his effervescent evasion, which means that nobody takes any damage. And we're all going to join in for the next fight. We've got quite a lot of healing items, which is why I don't mind getting everybody to go for this one. Oh dear. Right, the abbot, 2 might and a block. The miller, 2 might and a block. And the mason with a wisdom, which means he's now down to 3, so we need to get him to sit back and rest, which will put him back up to 4. So the abbot and the miller will now roll again. Really not having a good time trying to get cunning here. Still nothing. Abbot shields, block. So the miller, that was his first damage, is now down to 5. This could be us dead already. Okay. We're going to get everybody to roll. We need to. Oh my goodness. Nobody rolled anything useful there. The mason's shielded. So the abbot is now down to 3. Miller is now down to 3. Crap. Okay, so this is what we rolled. For the purposes of this video, we'll pretend that we defeated him and move on. Otherwise, this will be a very short video where I basically don't get to showcase any of this adventure pack to you. I think we've taken enough of a beating there. We're going to use pretty much all of our health items. So the mason is going to use his steel loaf of bread to put him up to 6. Obviously, if we were playing a real game, I would say that would be game over in the next couple of turns. But for the purposes of this, we're going to cheese it a little bit and pretend that we got rid of that cunning. That was some shocking dice rolling, by the way. The miller is going to discard both of their partially rotten apples for 2 health, which gets them up to 5. The abbot's going to discard his, gets him up to 4. So at the end of that horrendous room, the mason has 6 health, miller has 5, abbot has 4, and the mason is going to go through the door first. Gosh. Right, this chamber carries an unnatural echo. You hear deranged chattering all around you. Scanning the darkness, you catch sight of your attacker at the last moment. So we must try and roll cunning or a double in one attempt. If we succeed, we narrowly evade the cultist's attack and we begin combat. If we feel his club strikes us, we lose 2 HP and we begin combat anyway. One important thing to note here is this little symbol right here. So if we had any curses in play, they would be triggered at this point. And depending on the curse, there's actually a chance that whenever you roll the cursed dice or whenever a curse is triggered, that one of your characters, one of your heroes or not so heroes, will actually join your enemies and you have to fight against them as well. Really, really intense stuff. So we all need to try and roll cunning or a double in one attempt. Okay. So the mason rolled a double, the abbot rolled a double, the miller didn't, so he takes 2 damage. Puts him down to 3, and then we begin combat. Now this guy's pretty weak, he only does 1 damage per turn, but he is still alive. He has 3 might and 1 wisdom. We are all going to attack him. Okay. So the miller does a wisdom attack. The mason does 2 and shields. The abbot does 2 wisdom and shields as well. So the miller is the only one that's going to take damage. He's now down to 2 health. We're going to get him to rest though, which will put it back up to 3. And we'll get the other 2 to attack and try and finish him off. Which they do. Perfect. And we'll take an item card. We didn't take an item card for the last encounter because I cheesed it and I didn't want to reward myself. Oh my. But we get a golden axe, which is the best thing you want to try and draw. We're going to give that to the miller, I think. Yeah, we're going to give that to the miller and hope he doesn't kill himself with it. Abbot, mason. Golden axe, incredibly helpful in combat. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to give that to the mason because his rolls are very, very limited because he can primarily only roll might. And the golden axe could help balance him out a little bit in combat. And he's going to go through the door first. So, the smell of incense is strong in this chamber. As you step over the piles of bones that litter the floor, your limbs begin to feel heavy and your vision swims. To resist the effects of the incense, each player must try to roll a double in 1 attempt. For each player, if we succeed, we make it to the exit and slowly come to our senses. If we fail, oh no, you feel deep bliss but begin to stagger and sway. Your arms drop to your sides, lose 1 health point or discard an item, then make another attempt. If you've not succeeded after 3 attempts, you make it to the exit, dazed and disoriented. Now, the issue arises here is that the miller has 3 health points. So if he fails, it's game over. The mason has 6, has a higher chance of rolling a double, I would say, and the abbot has 4 health. Either way, we're going to come out of this pretty badly. So abbot rolls a double in 1. Beautiful. Mason. Mason loses 3 health points. Makes it to the other side. Miller. It's all riding on you, mate. Rolls a double in 1. Look at that. Okay, so we've made it through. I actually thought the mason was going to do the best there. He did the worst. We've made it through. At the end of that encounter, the abbot has 4 health, the miller has 3, and the mason has 3. We have 1 more room before we defeat the boss. I don't believe we're going to win. But as long as we get to the boss, that's the main thing. Abbot's going to go through the door first. This part of the castle is a perplexing maze of narrow, musty passageways, each darker than the last. To navigate the labyrinth, all players must roll in unison, keeping track of any wisdom rolled until they've rolled a total wisdom equal to the number of players. After each attempt, if the total has not been reached, all players lose 1 health point from exhaustion and must try again. If the total has not been reached after 3 attempts, we find the correct passageway and we get out. So we need to roll 3 wisdom. Again, if we don't get this in 3 attempts, it's game over because the miller and the mason will have died. So here's hoping. Okay, so there is 2. We all lose 1 health point because we haven't succeeded. We just need 1 more wisdom, which we didn't get. Okay, last chance. We got it. We got the double. Okay. I don't think it really matters though, because at this stage, the abbot has 2 health, the miller has 1, and the mason has 1. Just as we go in to fight the final boss, it's not going to go well, but at least you'll get to see what the Death Knight looks like. So this is it. You have reached the final challenge. One last obstacle stands between you and freedom. Let's have a look at the Death Knight himself. Here he is. Oh gosh, right. My fighting skill is legend. You will not land a single blow. At the beginning of each round, the Death Knight adopts a different fighting stance. Roll a chapter dice and note the result. For the remainder of the round, the Death Knight is impervious to all attacks of this type. Begin combat. Basically, it won't really matter because unless we all roll blocks, he's going to kill us at the end of the first go. So his health, he's got 1 might, 2 cunning, 1 wisdom, and then we roll 3 dice for us, which is 2 more cunning and another wisdom. Now, at the beginning of each round, he adopts a different fighting stance though. So let's see what attacks he's going to be impervious to. Might, which he only has 1 dice of. We're just going to get everybody to roll. It would be so lucky if we rolled doubles and shields for everybody. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll try. We gave it a shot. We gave it a good try. So let's divvy this up here. Yeah, it doesn't even matter anyway. The miller rolled a block as well as 2 might, but might he's impervious to it this round anyway, but he would have been protected. The mason rolled 1 might and 2 cunning, so that would have been taken away. The abbot rolled a wisdom, so that would have been taken away. So that would have left him with 1 might, 2 cunning, and 1 wisdom, which if we weren't dead, we might have been able to handle. Unfortunately though, we have been roundly defeated yet again. Like I say, this game is incredibly tough. I just want you to know that if you ever play this game and you make it out of the castle alive, like, you are one of the very select few who have managed to actually beat the game. This game is not meant to be easy, and that's part of its charm and part of its replayability. The fact that it isn't easy means that you want to play it again and you want to try and defeat the castle and make it out alive. The Death Knight introduces some really interesting mechanics to the game, and I think the setting that the Death Knight is in, really, really cool and incredibly punishing. I actually think the Death Knight expansion is more punishing than the experience you'll encounter in the core game. And I think the introduction of these new characters with revamped stats is really intriguing. I think it's very attractive to try and risk a more balanced stat sheet to try and go for the likes of the Mason here, who has maxed out might. In essence, I think the expansions are definitely something that if you enjoy Escape the Dark Castle and you've played the core set to death, I think having these expansions can really add countless hours of extra play time into your game sessions as well. For me today, we've been playing solely using the Death Knight deck, which you can do. Alternatively, you can shuffle a Death Knight deck into your castle cards from the core set as well, just to kind of make the experience a little bit more varied. But folks, that is the Death Knight expansion. We will be bringing you playthroughs of the other 2 narrative expansions for the game at a later date. If you want to be kept up to date of when those videos go live, all you got to do, as always, is hit that subscribe button down below. But until next time, have a great week, and I will of course speak to you all soon.